Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're going deep into the world of Stoicism.
Oh, yeah, love this stuff.
You and me both. We're going to be working with Jonas Salzgever's book, The Little Book of Stoicism.
Excellent choice.
Definitely. For this deep dive, we're going to do things a little bit differently.
Oh, how?
We're going to be diving deep into Chapter 2, exploring its contents word for word, exactly as it is written.
Interesting approach.
I think so, yeah. We want to ensure we capture the essence of Salzgever's insights.
Without adding your own interpretations just yet?
Right, so think of it as laying the groundwork, absorbing the raw material before we analyze and discuss it further.
I like it. Gives the listeners a direct experience of the source material before we jump into all the nuances.
Precisely. So get ready to embark on this word-for-word exploration. Would you like to take the lead and begin reading Chapter 2?
Absolutely. Chapter 2. A quick history lesson. I made a prosperous voyage when I suffered shipwreck.
Ooh, impactful.
Right. That's Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism,
Of course.
reflecting on the event that ironically steered him towards this life-changing philosophy.
Ironic indeed.
The year is around 320 BCE. A Phoenician merchant suffers shipwreck somewhere between Cyprus and the Greek mainland in the Mediterranean Sea. He just lost all his murex dye, a highly valuable purple-colored dye, one from the murex sea snail, and with that, all his wealth.
Wow, can you imagine? Your entire livelihood gone.
Right. We are talking about Zeno of Citium, who, thanks to this shipwreck, should become the founder of Stoicism many years later.
So this is like the origin story.
Exactly.
Okay, so after this tragic event, Zeno's father, who was a merchant himself, had actually brought home books from his travels purchased in the Greek city of Athens.
So he already had some exposure to philosophy.
Yeah, and maybe that's why after the accident in sea, Zeno went to Athens, sat down in a bookstore, and read about the Athenian philosopher Socrates, who taught around a century earlier.
Socrates, what a legend!
Right. Zeno was so impressed by what he read that he asked the bookseller where men like this Socrates could be found.
I wonder what the bookseller said.
Well, the bookseller just pointed in the direction of Crates the Cynic.
No way! Crates was there!
Yep. He was just walking by, and the bookseller said, "Follow yonder man."
What a scene.
Right. And indeed, Zeno did follow Crates, who was a leading philosopher at the time, and became his pupil for years to come.
Talk about a twist of fate.
Right. And Zeno was actually happy how his life took a turn and said, "It is well then of thee, fortune, thus to drive me to philosophy."
Love that quote.
Me too. And then later, when looking back on the shipwrecked time in his life, Zeno commented, "I made a prosperous voyage when I suffered shipwreck."
Powerful stuff.
Very. Although, it's worth mentioning that this intriguing shipwreck story was written down by Greek biographer Diogenes Laertius in his Lives of Eminent Philosophers around 150 years after Zeno's death.
So maybe not a primary source.
Exactly. So there's a chance it's been embellished over time.
Yeah, that happens a lot with these old stories.
Totally. But hey, even if it's not 100% accurate, it paints a vivid picture, right?
Oh, absolutely. It highlights that classic Stoic idea that even misfortune can be an opportunity for growth and transformation.
Like a what doesn't kill you makes you stronger kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Zeno didn't see the shipwreck as the end, but as a beginning.
Talk about a perspective shift.
Huge. So Zeno, inspired by Crates and the ideas of Socrates, began teaching in a public colonnade.
This is where the name comes from, right?
It is. It was known as the Stoa Poikile.
Hence, Stoicism.
Precisely. And over the next few centuries, Stoicism flourished, attracting followers from all walks of life.
I feel like a lot of people think Stoicism is just for, like, super serious people.
Right. But it wasn't confined to scholars or the elite. It was a philosophy for everyone.
Everyone's seeking a better way to live.
Exactly. It spread from Greece to Rome, where it gained immense popularity.
Even influencing Roman emperors.
Oh, yeah. It was huge. The book mentions that Stoicism became one of the most influential and respected schools of philosophy for nearly 5 centuries.
Wow, that's a pretty impressive run.
It really is.
Why do you think it resonated so deeply with people for such a long time?
Well, I think it's because Stoicism offers practical tools for dealing with the challenges we all face.
Like what kinds of things?
Loss, disappointment, anxiety.
You know, the whole human experience.
Exactly. It provides a framework for navigating life's ups and downs with resilience and inner peace.
It's almost like an ancient self-help system that stood the test of time.
You could say that. Now, the book focuses on 4 prominent Stoics.
Oh, yeah. I'm curious.
Each of them embodied Stoic principles in their own unique way. We've got Seneca, Musonius Rufus, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius. Talk about an all-star lineup.
Wow, quite the impressive group. Before we get to know them, let's take a moment to digest what we've just heard.
Good idea.
Zeno's shipwreck wasn't just a physical event, it was a philosophical turning point.
A turning point for all of Western civilization, perhaps.
Makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How do we view our own setbacks? Are they the end of the story or the beginning of something new?
Such a good question. One we'll be exploring further as we delve into the lives and teachings of these Stoic figures.
Can't wait.
Stay tuned.
Okay, so we're back and ready to meet some of these famous Stoics.
Yeah, really fascinating individuals.
It says in the book there's a Roman playwright, an early feminist,
Oh, really? An early feminist? I'm intrigued.
a crippled slave,
Wow.
and even a Roman emperor.
That's quite the diverse group.
It really is, and each one embodies these Stoic principles in their own unique way.
No kidding. Okay, well, I'm ready if you are.
Yeah, let's hear about Seneca, who the book calls the most important Stoic philosopher.
All right. The most important Stoic philosophers, Seneca the Younger, around 4 BCE to 65 CE.
Okay, got it.
If a man knows not which port he sails, no wind is favorable.
Ooh, I like that quote.
Seneca.
Hmm.
So this is Lucius Annaeus Seneca, mainly known as Seneca the Younger, or simply Seneca.
Yeah.
Born around the time of Jesus in Cordoba, Spain, and educated in Rome, Italy.
Okay.
And he's renowned as one of the finest writers of antiquity.
Makes sense, if a lot of his writing survived.
Yeah, many of his essays and personal letters survived and serve as an important source of Stoic philosophy.
So, like, what did he write about?
Well, his writings speak to us because he focused on the practical aspect of Stoicism,
I like that.
like down to how to take a trip,
Uh-huh.
how to deal with adversity and its provoked emotions, how to live well and die well, how to be a good friend, and how to live in accordance with nature.
I'd love to read his tips for dealing with a stressful trip.
Right, so Seneca actually lived a life of privilege and power as tutor and later advisor to the Roman Emperor Nero.
Wow, so this guy was, like, really in the thick of it.
Oh yeah, he was. And he was rich, very rich.
Okay, so not exactly the image that comes to mind when I think Stoic philosopher.
You know, right? But he was far from a man of mere status symbols. He was a well-respected philosopher of his time.
I guess money doesn't automatically disqualify you from wisdom.
Nope. But ironically, his wealth was often used against him. People doubted his ability to practice what he preached, and they even accused him of hypocrisy.
Oof. Yeah, I could see that happening.
Yeah, but Seneca embraced those criticisms.
Really?
He said he was far from perfect and simply tried his best to live in accordance with nature.
That's actually very humble.
Right. He understood well that Stoicism is not about perfection, but about continuous improvement.
Okay, that's inspiring.
Totally. And he even thought of his writings as a constant work in progress, always in need of improvement.
Not just his life, but his work, too.
Yeah, exactly. More like a dagger than a handbook, always ready to deal with life's challenges.
Love that.
It is worth noting that Seneca lived a tumultuous life in the Roman political arena, which led to his eventual downfall.
Oh no, what happened?
In 65 CE, Nero, now a tyrannical ruler, ordered Seneca to commit suicide
Oh wow.
because he was supposedly involved in a conspiracy against the emperor.
Yikes!
Whether or not he was actually involved is still debated by historians.
I guess we'll never know for sure.
Right, but it's a tragic end for a man who advocated for reason and virtue.
Very tragic. All right, well, who's next on our list of famous Stoics?
Okay, so next up we have Musonius Rufus.
Okay, what's his story?
He was born around 30 CE and lived to about 101 CE.
Okay, and what was his deal?
Well, Gaius Musonius Rufus, mostly known as Musonius Rufus, was born in Volsini, Italy, and became one of the most influential Stoic teachers of his time.
Gotcha. So was he similar to Seneca?
Not exactly. Unlike Seneca, who was known for his political involvement and complex relationship with power.
So he was more of a, like, pure teacher.
Yeah, Musonius Rufus focused primarily on teaching and living a simple, virtuous life.
I like that.
Yeah, although it wasn't always easy for him.
What do you mean?
The book mentions that he was exiled 3 times for his outspoken philosophical views. First, by the Emperor Nero,
Wow, 3 times.
then by Vespasian, and finally by Domitian.
That's rough.
It is. But even in exile, Musonius Rufus remained true to his Stoic principles. He continued to teach and live according to his beliefs.
Wow, so he really walked the walk.
He did. He proved that external circumstances cannot break a truly virtuous person.
Talk about resilience. He didn't let exile stop him from living his philosophy.
Exactly. He viewed it as an opportunity to practice what he preached.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
He saw hardship as a test, a chance to strengthen his virtue and demonstrate the power of Stoicism.
Right. He famously said that one's character is all that matters.
Okay, I like this guy already. So what else do we know about him?
Well, his teachings were preserved primarily through the lecture notes of his most famous student, Epictetus.
Wait a minute, Epictetus. Wasn't he a slave?
That's right. Born into slavery, Epictetus rose above his circumstances to become one of the most influential Stoic philosophers of all time.
Wow, his story must be incredible.
It really is.
All right, so we've met Zeno, Seneca, and Musonius Rufus, and now finally we're getting to Marcus Aurelius.
The philosopher emperor.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. It's kind of hard to wrap your head around, like an emperor being a Stoic.
Right. You think of emperors as being all about power and control.
Exactly. So to think that someone in that position could also embrace this philosophy of, accepting what you can't control.
It's definitely a fascinating juxtaposition.
It is. So where do we pick up with Marcus Aurelius in the book?
Okay, so amidst the pressures of ruling a vast empire, Marcus Aurelius found solace and guidance in Stoic philosophy.
I mean, think about that. An emperor with the weight of the world on his shoulders, finding solace in the same philosophy that guided a former slave like Epictetus.
Right. It's pretty amazing. Speaks to the universality of Stoicism, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's not bound by social status or circumstance.
And his personal journal, known as the Meditations, offers a glimpse into his inner world. He used Stoic principles to navigate the challenges of leadership, war, and even personal loss.
It's remarkable that these personal reflections, written almost 2,000 years ago, still resonate with readers today.
Totally agree.
Like, what is it about Marcus Aurelius and his writings that continue to captivate us?
I think it's his honesty and vulnerability. In the Meditations, we see an emperor wrestling with the same human struggles we all face.
Like, what kinds of things?
Doubt, fear, anxiety, the search for meaning.
So he wasn't this perfect Stoic sage.
He was a man grappling with life's complexities, using Stoic principles as a compass to guide him through.
That makes him so much more relatable.
For sure, he's not some untouchable figure on a pedestal,
Yeah, he's not preaching at us. He's like right there in the trenches with us, figuring things out as he goes.
Exactly, and that's what makes his insights so powerful. He's not preaching from a position of authority. He's sharing his own struggles and triumphs.
Reminding us that the path to a good life is a journey, not a destination.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Hmm.
And with that, we come to the end of our word-for-word exploration of Chapter 2.
It's been quite a journey, from the origins of Stoicism to the lives of some of its most influential figures.
So much to think about.
Right, but this is just the beginning.
Oh yeah, we've only just scratched the surface.
Chapter 2 has set the stage. It's given us a glimpse into the history and the human side of Stoicism.
Right, and now we're ready to dive into the deeper stuff.
Exactly. I'm eager to delve deeper into the philosophy itself, to understand its core principles and how we can apply them to our modern lives.
Me too. In the upcoming episodes, we'll unpack the Stoic happiness triangle, explore practical exercises like negative visualization.
That one's my favorite.
Mine too. And we'll discuss how these ancient wisdoms can help us navigate the complexities of 21st century life.
I can't wait. And for our listeners, if you're as intrigued by Stoicism as we are, be sure to join us for the next deep dive. We'll be exploring the practical side of this timeless philosophy. And who knows, you might just discover some tools to help you live a more fulfilling and resilient life. Until then, keep those Stoic principles in mind.